Festival. These are festival pros for sure. Okay, so where do we begin? Let's start with Susan because these are like directors. Susan, tell me something that other people don't know about how this came together tonight.
Just tonight, all the decorating behind the scenes, nobody knows what goes on. I've been coming for how many years and I'm always surprised. I know Katie pretty well, I know Angelina pretty well, and I know they always put on an amazing display.
And you work your little fannies off for that, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We came in at 3:30 today. And after the last kids got out of the school here, and we got this event, we had a team of 10 of us. We were able to get the event set up in an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm really proud of my volunteers and all the people. And Katie did an amazing job on all the decorations that you see around here. So a shout out to Katie O'Neill for doing all that. And
Mark's done an amazing job.
So Mark, did they put you to work, Mark?
No, behind every great woman is a great man. So I take care of what at the house. So all this can happen. Without me, none of this happens.
That's not even funny. That really is true, isn't it?
That's true. That is true.
You are so red, but it's true. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for keeping her world together so that she can add to our world.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Gina.
You're so cute. That was good. Well, Louise Brick, come on up here on the red carpet with me. So Louise Brick is looking so beautiful, and I said, come up here on the red carpet with me, and she said, no, I don't do that. But I'll catch her in dance aerobics tomorrow. All right, come here. Thank you, Christine. Netta, come on, right in here, Netta.
Okay.
Netta is one of our filmmakers. Well, this is wonderful because then I can ask you about you. What is your film?
So my film his name is A Mirror for the Sun. It's a documentary that done about a young woman in Israel that used to be the first Jewish Orthodox combat navigator in the Israeli Air Force. And she was something very unique and special. And it's a story about her life. And I will not make a spoiler. You have to come tomorrow at 4 o'clock and to see the story.
And I know it's a story about her life, and then does it include her family as well as the country and the respect of the difficult times?
Yes, it is. It's about her background. She grew up in a village. And she was very special and unique. And in the Israeli Air Force, most of the men are men and only few women. And it's a very...
She rose to the top.
Yes, and yes.
What drew you to this topic? What drew you to her? What brought you to her story?
Okay, so first of all, I'm also, in my other hand, I am a director of a film school in Jerusalem, in Israel. So I think that films are the best language in the world. And short film can say so many instead of words and talking. And so I believe in films. And she was my niece. And when I say she was, this is something from the movie.
How many years did you work on this, Meta?
3 years. It was 3 years.
This is a labor of love and admiration
Yes.
and such respect.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, filmmaker. Thank you for encouraging others and teaching others about filmmaking and for bringing this story to us.
Thank you for having me here. It's a great honor for me to be here in this festival. It's look amazing, everything.
Isn't this a sweet little town?
It is. It's amazing to be for me, in the end of the world, in so unique place, so family, so warm people, amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. For me to say shalom, isn't
Yes,
it?
I want someone to take a picture of us, okay?
Okay, sure. They know everything.
You're the professional here.
They know everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that honor.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you around town.
Yes.
All right.
Please introduce yourself.
Hi. Okay. Hi. I'm
Ken. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Nice to meet you too.
Dee Dee and Ken are looking absolutely gorgeous on the red carpet. Oh, I'm so. And look at the baseball tie. You are ready.
It's all about the theme.
Tell me what brings you here tonight. Is it the film? Is it the event? Tell me it all.
It's everything, but the documentaries, they're the best. They really are, and so we're excited every year to come and watch them.
Do you have a special category that you particularly like?
Shorts.
I like the shorts.
Okay.
That is cute that you said that.
Okay.
So will you go to Riverside Park and watch?
We will. Yes. Hopefully the weather will agree. Yeah, but yes.
And do you go along with many of them?
Oh, absolutely. We try to catch as many films as we can during the 5 days.
I was talking about this with another couple. I said this really becomes a date week, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. It's an easy date for me. It's already scheduled.
Oh, I like the way you said that. Thank you so much for being on the red carpet with me.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
I'll see you around town. We always say I'll see you around the campus.
Okay.
You got it,
Sounds
for
good.
sure.
Thank you.
See you in the park.
Okay.
Oh, no, Bob and Joe Roy are my. You know, I am a novice at this and so nervous, but I know the two of you will make it so easy for me. Bob and Joe Royer are here with me, and it's a pleasure. Oh, and I am loving this. Joe, tell me about. Okay, this is the first time I get to say, tell me about your outfit.
Oh, whoa. Well, actually, I've had this for a long time, but we don't get to dress up very often anymore. I was going to wear Indian stuff.
Oh.
And last night, Marianne said, "Oh, no, it's dressy. It's not Indian stuff." I said, "Oh, okay, I will go home and get out of the closet."
What does that mean?
And I'll bet that you wanted to wear an Indian shirt underneath your jacket.
I have it on. Not really. You know what we discovered, though, that, wallpaper went out a couple years ago, and now I think neckties are gone.
I think that the nice thing is that we have a choice.
But sure,
And I'll bet you have gorgeous ties at home.
a whole bunch.
Don't stop wearing them.
Have wide ones and narrow ones and big ones and little ones.
Well, I love it because it's kind of fun. I mean, I love all different types of casual and dressy dress. But I must admit that when a man has a gorgeous tie on, the tie and the socks, it's very fun to be able to see those accessories. How are your socks? Do you have Indian socks? Oh,
He's boring. He's got black.
and there's nothing boring about you, Royer. Nothing.
How to make a guy feel good.
Thank you.
thank
Thanks
you,
for being with us tonight. So good.
so pretty.
I always love having an excuse to see you and talk to you. I'll look for you in the parking lot.
Okay.
I mean the Howard Hanna parking lot. Yeah, the Howard Hanna parking lot. I saw him across the parking lot, across the river, I think it was. And I laughed and, you were busy with about 4 other women, but I know they were all agents, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Oh, I know you do. It's good. I hope it's always that way. Yes, the two of you. Come on. Who am I talking to here? Who am I talking to here?
I am a guest.
Rosalie. Rosalie's a guest of Mr. Brickhouse, and it's nice to have you live streaming with us here.
Well, thank you so much. It is a wonderful honor to be here. I don't think there's any place like Chagrin Falls.
Now, have you had a chance to just walk around and enjoy just the ambiance?
Yes, all of the shops and the ice cream store. You can't be here and not have an ice cream cone. It is wonderful. Stand there and watch the water flow under the bridge. I love it.
Oh, I think we've got to have you join the Chamber of Commerce. That's all there is to it.
Thank you.
Thanks for being part of the fun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh. May I talk with you? Just a little bit? Come on. What's your name? Shelley and Matt? Oh, Matt. Forgive me. I'm grabbing them. Shelley and Matt Underwood, but I have to tell you the truth. This is the reason why I grabbed her. Turn around. This is red carpet. Right here, this is red carpet. Thank you so much. I know you. Isn't it fun on a Tuesday night to just get dressed up?
I think so. It's very fun. I love getting dressed up.
Well, here's something else. Did you dress Matt, or does he pick his own?
He dresses himself. No, he dresses himself. He can do that very well.
And do you love his style?
Yes.
Yes. Now, thank you. Now, I do have a big question, though. Matt, you look fabulous. What socks do you have on?
Calvin Klein, black socks.
Very classic. Yeah. I was wondering if the fun went all the way to the bottom. Oh, that is beautiful. You really are red carpet. This is wonderful. I feel very honored to be here between the two of you.
Well, we're honored to be with you.
Tell me what these kinds of events mean to you when we have films like this being shown.
What's really special to any time Cleveland can gain some spotlight outside of our little community, it's great. And this film, I think, is going to go on and capture the attention of people all over the country and hopefully all over the world. It's a unique story because it's not just germane to Cleveland. It brings in the audience from New York, and once you bring in that audience from New York, you bring in people from all over the world.
Well, I was surprised. One of the blurbs. So don't scoot away. Stay here with us. I was surprised because one of the blurbs said that this kind of explains how the rivalry started between Cleveland and New York. Is that true, or is that just a marketing thing?
No, I think it definitely goes back to every great rivalry, especially in sports. It has a flashpoint, a moment where things changed, and it went from, okay, we're competing against each other, to now it's different. Things just changed, and what this film does is it explains why that happened, the specific event that led to, and then there's a sequence of events that have gone on and continue to go on since then, and that's what makes a rivalry fun.
All right, so will you have a chance to see other films in this film festival? I mean, I hope that you do, or at least have a chance to enjoy Chagrin Falls.
This is one of our favorite places. We both come over here regularly. We have a doctor right down the street that we both see regularly, so we enjoy Chagrin Falls. It's like a home away from home. Peter's Clothiers, I'm over there. I'm buying ties from him all the time. So, yeah, we love Chagrin Falls, and hopefully we will be able to see more films at the festival as well.
And I hope that you enjoy the evening so much. You are so kind to let me grab you up here.
Thank you.
Thank you for looking gorgeous. Thanks for looking gorgeous on our red carpet. Nicely done. Thank you. I won't bother you again.
Yeah,
You're going to be taken over soon.
Yeah.
So my daughter was so cute because she got a knit outfit, a black knit. I think it's a little open around here, but when you turn around, it is. I think there's a little.
Are you talking about her amazing dress?
Well, that's why I brought her up and made her turn around. I was saying my daughter got something. I think it was at Sanity or someplace on here. A knit pants. That's what knit pants. A knit top, and when you turn around, nothing.
Nothing.
And it is. So when
Just
you
like,
turned around, I went, oh yes, this is exactly how it should be.
So Jan, I just wanted to touch base. I know we talked about. I have to say, I don't want to having Matt take over too.
Yes,
Let
please.
me know.
Oh, anytime.
Just say if you're ready, like.
Is he ready?
He's ready.
Okay.
So-
All right. Daniel.
This is
Oh, good.
But you
Okay.
know what? I played Trish Beaker. I'm the team captain to Ray Chapman, the main actor. So I'm the best friend and
Wait,
team
let's
captain.
Let's talk about it. Okay, Daniel Salmon's here on the red carpet, and this is wonderful. You got a great story to tell me, because I looked at you and I said, why do you look familiar to me?
Well, it just so happens that I became the team captain for the film, and I'm looking forward to working with Ray. I was helping him stay out of retirement for one more season, and that's when he got actually hit with the pitch. So it was up to me to kind of break it to his wife that he got injured and had passed.
So you have lived this story.
I had to live the story, yeah, and it was heartbreaking. It was a tearjerker, but it was an amazing experience.
Oh, I am so glad that you came up to talk with, and I know I have to relinquish the mic now, but I'm glad that you were my last guest on the red carpet.
Terrific.
Enjoy tonight.
Indeed, I will. Thank you.
You're so cute. God bless you, Matt. It's yours.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Am I allowed to beg? Am I allowed to beg him,
Come
please?
on, Chantel.
I was like, Jan Jones, a picture with Jan Jones? Are you kidding me? Who wouldn't want that?
Chantel, last time I saw you, you were in a backless sundress and cowboy boots.
You're giving me away.
I am. You always have fabulous outfits. So, what's your feeling about the evening?
My feeling is I'm super excited to see baseball in Cleveland. Who doesn't love that? And to see the film festival kick off. I mean, this is the highlight of the year.
You're ready.
I'm ready.
This means that autumn has come to Northeast Ohio.
It does. I only wish that the Indians were in the playoffs. If I had a wish.
I'm with you.
Besides seeing you.
Thank you. Get on.
Jan, thank you.
You look so cute.
Thank you.
You do.
Thank you. Okay. All right, well, welcome into the Chagrin Film Festival. I'm Matt Underwood with Scott Longert, a great local author on a number of Indians books and baseball history books. One of your books, The Best They Could Be, details the Indians' rise to the World Championship of 1920. You're featured prominently in this film, The War on the Diamond. What's it like for you going from author to being on camera?
It's really a totally different experience because as an author, you can kind of hide. You know, people don't see you, and being in front of cameras and all is something really a little new. I was trying to be as relaxed as I could, but still with the lights and the camera, it was a little daunting. But we got through it. Andy Billman, the director, made me feel real comfortable. So it went well. But I still like to write rather than be in front of the camera.
Well, in your research, as I said, you wrote a book about this club, about how it was put together, from getting Tris Speaker from Boston to all the final pieces that were put in place to the tragedy that ensued with Ray Chapman. And I know you're a great historian to begin with, but what did you uncover that made you go, wow, that I did not know?
Well, I think one of the things that I did find, in 1919, Carl Mays hit Tris Speaker in the head. And Speaker saw it coming, so he moved a little bit and it glanced off the top of his head. But when he trotted to first base, he stopped and he yelled at Mays, "I know who you are, I know what you do," and it looked like there was going to be a fight on the field. They were teammates in Boston. So Speaker, if anybody knew, it was Speaker, and he was pretty angry, but I didn't know that happened. And it surprised me because when Chapman was hit, Speaker was his close friend. I thought Speaker would just, in anger, would really get on Mays, but he didn't, and said he was the peacemaker. He said it was an accident, he didn't do it intentionally, and that surprised me. I thought Speaker might have piled on, and that would have really turned people against Mays at the time. But that was surprising to know that he was hit by Mays, and he knew what was going on.
I think one of the things that's amazing is how that club rallied from the death of a teammate to somehow galvanize and carry on and win the pennant and win the World Series. Was there a moment, was there anything that you uncovered that enabled them to truly get over that and move forward?
Actually, I think one of the guys on the team on a road trip a couple weeks later, guys were sitting around in the car, I guess probably the dining car, and he said, Ray wouldn't want us to be like this. Ray'd want us to go out there and win. We shouldn't be just here sulking and feeling bad. We should win this for Ray. And they all of a sudden, everybody kind of perked up like a movie Hollywood type thing. And they thought, yeah, let's play ball. And the guys got motivated, and the newspapers picked it up with the "Win It for Ray" headlines all over. And the guys got motivated again, and they pulled it up. But I think that was it. They were feeling sorry, feeling like the season's shot. But then they thought, Ray, if he was here, he'd be screaming at us. Guys, get on the field and play ball. He'd never quit, so we're not going to quit either. And they didn't, and they won it all.
Again, Scott Longert, local author, unbelievable baseball historian. So one of the things that I also wonder about is, in 1920, a baseball player is killed on the field of play. How do you think the newspapers of the day handled the coverage of that story? Because newspapers in those days were known to be a little more salacious, maybe, more towards the National Enquirer than actual facts at times. How did they handle that in your mind, looking at it from today's perspective backwards?
I think in today's perspective, they were fairly tame about it. They reported what happened, didn't put in too many opinions, and reported that some of the teams started a petition to get Mays banned from baseball, but there wasn't too many critical stories there. I think the majority was that it was an accident and a terrible thing. So they didn't really, because I know they were salacious, that they could have really said, especially the Cleveland papers, could have really said some bad things, but apparently they didn't. And they kind of gave Mays a pass on the whole thing, just saying it was a tragic accident. And also he died at 3, 4 in the morning, so the editions had to really hurry out, and a lot of them just had headlines. So there was a lot of papers that didn't really cover it in detail because of when it happened, because it was very much, when their editions early morning, they couldn't get them out in time.
So as you said, you're not a TV star or a movie star. You're a writer by trade. What's it like when you see yourself on the screen?
It's hard to watch sometimes. I'm not used to it, and I think that's me. And then I'm looking to say, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or I said this wrong, or I shouldn't have done this. I get real critical thinking about it, but it was fun, and I am sure tonight it'll be fun to look at it. But I like to stay behind the cameras. I'm more comfortable there.
Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate your contributions.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, that's Scott Longert. Morris.
Hi, Matt.
Hello, Morris. How are you, sir?
Good to see
Come
you.
on over.
All right. Where do you want me?
Right there is great. Morris Eckhouse, another great baseball historian. If you turn over that way a little bit, the camera's going to pick us up over there. That way they won't just see the back of your head. When you think about a project like this, the War on the Diamond, and how Cleveland and the New York Yankees and the rivalry intersects, what were your thoughts initially on this project?
Well, I go back a long time with Mike Sowell. I remember when Mike came to the Sabre convention when it was here in 1990, and the book had just come out, The Pitch That Killed. And of course, The Pitch That Killed is about 1920 and Chapman and Carl Mays and so forth. But to take that through the course of that being one of the early points of the Yankee-Indians rivalry, and all that came after that, all the years of the Indians coming in second, and the great playoffs in the 90s and the 2000s, it's an undertaking. I can't wait to see it.
When you think back to 1920 and Mike Sowell's book, The Pitch That Killed. Is it possible for fans to put that in perspective in terms of what that event was like then compared to what that event would be like if it happened today?
Well, I hope so. I mean, back then, baseball was the national pastime. You didn't have the competition from football and basketball and some of the other things. And the idea of the Indians working their way back into contention as they did when Tris Speaker came to Cleveland and then getting into a battle for first place with the Yankees, that certainly resonates. So I would think that baseball fans would gravitate to the story.
When you think about Cleveland and New York, is there a game, is there a moment, is there a story for you that's personal about this rivalry?
There is. It was 1998. Remember, the Indians had gone to the World Series in 97, and then they were back in 98 against the Yankees. And the series, I believe, was tied at 2 games apiece. And then, as I recall, the Yankees won the next game, and then it went to Yankee Stadium. And we had the chance to go to Yankee Stadium and see that 6th game. And as I remember it, the Indians fell behind, and Tomei got up there and boom, and home run to get them back in the game. And, you know, the Indians were the defending American League champions and went toe-to-toe with that Yankee team that was part of that dynasty with Jeter and Mariano Rivera and the rest. So, yeah, that's one that particularly resonates for me. It's just too bad it wasn't a win.
Unfortunately, yes. Enjoy the night. Thanks for your time. Good to see you as always. Morris Eckhouse. Sure, anybody.
You tell us what you want. Okay.
You want to come on?
Yeah, and I'll do it with Pam, 2 of us.
That's fine, yeah. Yeah. Let me see, I'm trying to think. I don't want to make this awkward if it's weird going across, if you want to sit on one side of me.
That's fine.
And then our executive producer, investor, Kathy, is over here. So if you want to bring her in at all, just let us know.
Okay. All right. Okay, we can just go. All right, so I'm here with 2 of the producers of the film, The War on the Diamond, Danielle and Pam. Pam, we'll start with you because you're not a native Clevelander. The Indians don't really resonate or show up on your radar, I imagine. What drew you to this project?
I read an article in 2009 Sports Illustrated by S.L. Price called Hit in the Head, and it talked about the Ray Chapman story. And I was looking for a project that I wanted to dig my teeth into, and this story just resonated with me. I had no idea. My first job out of college was a marketing intern for the California Angels, and so I had never heard about Ray Chapman. And once I delved into the story, I found it fascinating, and I wanted to learn more. So I ended up optioning Mike Sowell's book, The Pitch That Killed, and tried to get a feature film project going for a while, and then moved on to other projects when it didn't really materialize. Danielle reached out to me in 2019 and said, I want to do something with this book that you have an option on. And we came together, and now we're here with this documentary.
It's crazy when you think about how the Angels are a star-crossed organization in more recent times. But when you go back to 1920, that had never happened. A player had never died, not on the field especially, and still hasn't happened since. And it's hard maybe to put that in perspective, what that meant in 1920 compared to 2021.
I agree. It was so new for everyone, and every player, they do this as a living, and nobody had ever been hit by a ball that died. And I think it was a shock to everyone. And I give Tris Speaker a lot of credit as player manager that year. And, of course, Ray Chapman's best friend, best man at his recent wedding in 2019, to be able to pull that team together and then go on and win the Indians' first pennant and their first World Series. So I think it was a phenomenal season that has been valued, and people really haven't known enough about it. And it's really, we're so happy to bring that in this film.
Danielle, growing up here, knowing the Indians, loving the Indians, what does the Indians-Yankees rivalry mean to you personally?
Well, I lived in both Cleveland and New York, so I saw both sides. I went to Yankees games, and people were booing that I was a Clevelander, so I've seen both sides, and that helped me with this film. My father was a huge Indians fan. Sadly, he's not here today, but he gave me the book, The Pitch That Killed, and he told me one day, about 12 years ago, this should be a movie. You should do this. And I was in film school, and I'm like, yeah, I'll try. 10 years later, we worked really hard, and I connected with Pam on the story, was so excited, and Mike, and we just did it. We got Andy involved. I knew that Andy was a Clevelander. He's a perfect guy to direct a film like this about Cleveland, and also a New Yorker too. Andy, back and forth to the city and Connecticut. And so yeah, I think it's exciting, and we see both sides, Indians and Yankees.
I think people are they understand that sports is a team game. It takes a lot of people to come together to make something happen. When you talk about a project like this, it's not just one person or two people. I mean, who's the point man? Who's the ringleader that brings everything together?
Well, it's multiple people. It's not just one person. I read the book, and then I reached out to Pam. She had the rights before, and I said, Pam, we need to do this now. And during a pandemic, so we said, why don't we do a documentary? And we got Andy involved, and Art Horan, who's a producer on the film. He's out in Hollywood. He loved the film. As soon as I sent it to him, he said, I have to do this. I'm a Yankees fan, but this makes sense. All the great players, Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, the Indians, this will be a hit. So everybody is part of it, and everybody did a fantastic job. So,
Pam, is there any nervousness as a producer that, it's baseball, it's Cleveland, is it going to play? Is it going to be, a hit for us outside of a small market?
I think it's such an emotional story. The Ray Chapman story, the Carl Mays story. Ray Chapman was so beloved. Carl Mays was kind of the villain, not really liked in New York. And so I think it's just a story that's going to resonate with a lot of people. And I think we're showing, both sides of Carl Mays, of not only the pitch that killed, but also that his remorse at the end and all of that. So it's going to be a great story that I think is going to play beyond Cleveland and New York. It's a great baseball story, and it's a great human spirit story.
I agree. I've had a chance to see it. Phenomenal job. You should both be very proud. Thank you. Good luck tonight. Thank you. You got it.
This is one of the actors in the film.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Would you care?
Would you
I'm
like
gonna
to
set my plate down?
Just 1 second. I think they got Andy coming first,
Okay.
and then
okay.
as soon as he's done, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So then we'll put
So
you in
suck down
your
that
second.
that sushi, we'll get you.
What's that?
Suck down that
Finish
sushi,
it,
then we'll
yeah.
get you. Yeah.
Do you want Jimmy or Andy? You want
He said he was
this
coming,
one?
so
Okay,
it's.
great. Perfect. Sorry.
Hi, Andy.
Nice to meet you. Finally.
Pleasure to meet you.
Big fan of
Great
yours.
job.
How
Great
are
job.
you? Great
No,
job.
I
How
had
are
a
you?
chance to see it. It's phenomenal. All right, so here's Andy Billman, the director of the film. I know this is a project that, is near and dear to your heart for obvious reasons, but there's still a business side that when you make decisions. If we all just did passion projects, probably wouldn't be able to put food on the table. So what was it about this story that you said, hey, I can make this work?
Well, uniqueness. Sadly, I don't think a lot of people know about Ray Chapman. I know, I grew up as a Tribe fan. I really didn't know the story that well. And I thought the other thing is, too, it brought me into a way, it's like, I was taught the Yankees and Indians were a rivalry. Well, it has to start somewhere. So when I started doing Believe Land, said, you know the story about Ray Chapman? I go, I've heard about it, never really been told much about it. They go, well, you should read about it. And so as soon as this deal got brought to me last year, I go, we're going to do something a little more oomph to it, because this is what I kind of see. So to your point, you try to be level-headed. You try to be like, does this really make sense? There's a story here. And I hope it plays tonight. I think there is a real story, not just Indians and bugs and something happened in 57 with score, something more to that than just...
Well, I think that's what's interesting. It's not just the pitch that killed. Obviously, that's the canvas that you kind of start with. and that is maybe the flashpoint for the rivalry. But there are so many other interesting layers to the rivalry that I think that's what makes it a fun story to tell.
There is a lot to the story. I think a lot of people don't know about that. So I did this in Boston last week, and talking to Red Sox fans, like, we actually see the rivalry now. I'm like, see, it's not just made up. Like, there's real things here. And in fact, Scott Longert and other gentlemen will tell you, there's a lot of stories on the cutting room floor that didn't even make the film. So there's a lot to this story. What's great about it is the Indians win some of these games. And that makes it more of a rivalry. So it's not just, oh, woe was me, we didn't win. No, they won in 97, 54, 48, 20. 2007. So I think it's what makes it evolve, and hopefully people understand the passion. And there's a lot of connection for another film between New York and Cleveland. That's for another day, for another film. There's a lot of history, though, between those two cities.
All right, so as a filmmaker, though, when you're doing a documentary, I think a lot of us think of documentaries and, a lot of talking heads, interviews, videos, photos, but you took it a step further and used actors. I mean, there's actual acting involved in this, and costumes and period design. How much of that was a challenge, and how much of that was just pure love and passion?
Okay, planning. Lots of coffee and planning. Because I've done a lot of producing films. I am not a big fan of reenactments. So when we talked about this back in December and January, I said, could we do graphics? Could we do something more unusual? And my editor, Paul Carruthers, partner, goes, you should try reenactments. I go, oh God, do we have to? I'm like, that's such a risk, but we decided to do it. I think they work. I thought they played really well, because the biggest thing in these films, Matt, can I see the story? Can I see Chapman? Can I feel Katie Daly? Can I feel the angst of Carl Mays? And I think you do with this. It's a compliment to the actors. They did a wonderful job. They really hailed it, but reenactments take a lot of planning, time, Danielle Abrico, Pam Sullivan, and a lot of coffee and liquor, and then you just hold your nose. But no, it really worked out. It was tight. I think they work, but you're right. Reenactments can go really wonky, and it's like it feels forced. I think these felt natural, and I think you could see Ray Chapman, which is the whole goal.
The beautiful thing is, with each passing year, it gets harder and harder to go back in time and tell those stories. The pictures are brittle. The film is almost non-existent. So I'm glad that you were able to get this preserved for future generations to come. Great job.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just hope people enjoy the story. It was really fun digging back. Again, there was a lot of learning here. I knew some of the things about 97. I certainly knew a lot about the bugs and some things about Feller and DiMaggio. But I really did not know the complicated story between Chapman and Mays, and I hope people enjoy it. And to be honest with you, I think it's a story that resonates. You can watch it today, Christmas, opening day for the Guardians. I think it's a story that resonates, which I really hope plays out here tonight.
Andy, congratulations. Great job. Thank you.
Great job this year.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just speaker, right?
I think they want a couple more pictures.
Okay.
And then we're going to do actor interviews.
Okay.
I got the guys over here on the ready. Where are they? What are the chances you're going to
Yeah, but if they use this,
You're right in front of the camera. Daniel, one of the actors in the film, you play Tris Speaker.
I do.
The Gray Eagle, tremendous center fielder. This is a challenge, I would think, for an actor because it's not like there's dialogue and script, but obviously you have to, project that feeling of compassion, of empathy, of sympathy. How challenging was this for you?
It was incredibly challenging. To be honest with you, being Ray's best friend and being the team captain made it was a dichotomy of emotions. He was someone that I completely admired and wanted to stay on the team for yet one more season. And in that season, that's when he had his injury. And so bearing the burden of that, knowing that he was injured during my watch, just kind of put it into perspective, and having to tell his wife just was amazing. It was emotional.
Yeah, and I know you. I don't want you to give away your trade secrets, but again, without the dialogue to maybe build up that emotion and get that steam engine going, how do you find the emotion to act out those scenes so that it comes off realistic, which it does? But how do you get to that point?
Lots of training. I paid for it, and it's part of the job to become the role and become the person.
Did you get a chance to delve into the story, and were there things you learned about Cleveland and New York, Indians, Yankees that maybe you didn't know before?
Absolutely. The due diligence was reading, Googling, studying, and understanding this whole story and the whole rivalry and the concept of what the teams were emotionally feeling, the resentment and the disdain from the pitcher that didn't have any resentment to the team that had no remorse. Just, it was incredible.
Two things about Tris Speaker. One, I think it's unbelievable that here's a guy who, when he ends up going to Cleveland, the Indians owner costs up $50,000 to get him from Boston. And then Speaker says, that's not enough because I want the $5,000 that you owe me too, and he wasn't going to go without it. I mean, this guy had some chutzpah.
Exactly. No, and none of that was peanuts back then. That was a lot of money. Real money.
The other thing is, I wonder how great of a leader he had to have been to galvanize his team after Ray Chapman dies.
After it happened, to galvanize the team takes leadership, and I've been leading and managing a brokerage in my real career for many years, and I know what that means to take a team and keep it together no matter what storms happen. And so it takes a lot of effort to create that team effort and that camaraderie.
Well, great job. Enjoy the night.
Indeed, I will. Thank you so much.
That's Daniel Tris Speaker in the movie tonight. Enjoy it. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I know Jeremy, yeah. Hide your booze.
Yeah, I'm going off. It kind of looks like him.
So Jeremy Fedor is the Indians team historian. I know you've spent a lot of time on this subject. Mike Sowell's book, The Pitch That Killed, is sort of the flashpoint or the jumping off point for this project. What is it about this story that you think resonates with people beyond Indians fans or Yankees fans?
I think it's one of those key points that any Indians fan knows. You go to Heritage Park and you see the Chapman plaque, and you quickly learn the story. And I think it almost tells like a movie script, which is you can say that it's cliche, but I mean this team faces the worst kind of adversity a team's ever faced, and they go on to win the World Series. And I think you could make a Ken Burns-sized documentary on that 1920 team, just because there's so many guys that are, I don't want to say characters, but you've got like Smokey Joe Wood, who's a pitcher that blew his arm out, that's now playing the outfield. Tris Speaker, who you could talk about for days. Obviously Chapman, Wamby, Kowaleski, my personal favorite as a Polish American. Stan Kowaleski with his spitball, and that guy was an odd duck to say the least. So there's so many guys on that team that you could expand. And again, starting when Speaker comes, and even before that, when they trade Shoeless Joe, because Ray Chapman was on the trading blocks as well. And when they traded Shoeless Joe, it was like, well, are they going to trade him or Chapman? And they kept Ray because he was such a fan favorite. So the great what ifs of baseball. If Shoeless Joe stayed with Cleveland and Ray got traded, clearly Ray wouldn't have been killed, and Shoeless Joe would be in the Hall of Fame.
It's interesting you bring that up about Ray Chapman. He was maybe sort of the outlier for that generation, in that he was educated. He was well-to-do. He was engaged or married to a socialite, if you will. Most ball players were rough around the edges. They weren't the kind of guys you wanted to bring home and introduce to mom and dad. Stan Kovaleski grew up in the coal mines. Barely escaped that to become a great ball player. So this is a different generation of ball players than what people are used to today. A lot of those guys were scraping for their lives.
And when people say the good old days, playing for the game, for the love of the game, these guys also love to get paid, just like we love to get paid today. So, yes, there's this nostalgia for, these bygone eras, but guys were jumping teams. And you go back further to Nap Lajoie being upset that he wasn't getting paid as much as a teammate, and he jumped ship, and he couldn't play in Pennsylvania because of legalese. So, Kovaleski's story is typical of any Polish American. My great-grandparents also worked in coal mines in Pennsylvania, and he told stories of going into the mines at dark and coming out at dark, and then just for fun, he threw stones at old bottles, and that's how he honed his pitching prowess. And even later on with guys like Satchel Paige, there's these stories of guys just chucking rocks and learning baseball in a not so refined fashion as we have now with travel teams and baseball all year round. These guys were finding time to play baseball, and for some of them, it was a way out of the mines or any other job.
Do you have a specific Indians-Yankees rivalry memory that kind of sticks with you?
I've just always hated the Yankees. I have a counterpart over there. Their team historian. We went to a game a couple years ago. They have a wonderful museum. But I think the icing on the cake was a game where we smoked them pretty quick. I think Mike Freeman had a home run in that game. So it's always nice to be at Yankee Stadium when you have a lead, or it's always nice when they're in our ballpark and you have a big lead and you can kind of just sit back and beating the Yankees is always a point of pride, just because as Clevelanders, there's that chip on your shoulder, and nothing feels better than striking up and hitting those big wigs with that Cleveland that attitude. So
enjoy the net. Are you looking forward to seeing yourself on the big screen?
Yeah, it's always weird seeing yourself on screen, listening to yourself. My wife has to listen to me all the time, so it's going to be nothing new for her. But for me, I might shrink down a little bit. But it was fun. It's always great to get our history out there. It's a very, very rich history. Yes, the Yankees have 20 some odd World Series titles, but you can't measure a team's history in World Series titles alone. And you look at ours, whether it's Eddie Joss or the '54 team, there's a lot of rich history, and I'm glad Andy was able to kind of put it together in this documentary.
Thanks, Jeremy. Enjoy tonight. Got it. Yeah, this is the red carpet. Andre Thunder Thornton. All right, so the film that we're going to see tonight, War on the Diamond, goes back to the Ray Chapman story, but it also encompasses the whole Indians-Yankees rivalry. When I say Indians-Yankees to you, is there a specific memory or memories that quickly jump to the forefront of your mind?
Yes, they paid our paycheck. Because that was one of the few times that we had a sold-out crowd. Yeah.
And it's funny, I remember going to, whether there was 4th of July, doubleheaders, and you think, this is great, look at all these people, and then 2 days later, where'd they all go?
Well, yeah, the Yankees were a big draw for us, and of course Pete Franklin with the I Hate the Yankee Hanky and all of that. It was a fun time, and we enjoyed playing.
When you think about the story of Ray Chapman being hit by a pitch and dying the following day, are you surprised that it's the only time it's happened because of how hard guys throw and how vicious that ball can be when it's coming in?
Well, I am surprised, not only for players, but for fans. When I see fans get hit by the ball in the stands, or I see players get hit, even today we see players get hit with line drives. And it's just fortunate, thank God, that not many more are hurt.
When you look at your career in Cleveland, you never got a chance to play at the beautiful Jacobs Progressive Field. But what are your memories that you take with you of your time with the Indians?
Well, Matt, there's a lot of them, but some great friendships. Of course, I decided to stay here in Cleveland. Met a lot of wonderful people. We didn't have winning ball clubs most of the time, but we had some good players that came through this Cleveland ball club, and I'll always remember that. Yeah.
You still enjoy the game today?
I do. I don't get down to see many games, but I keep up with the team and watch the box scores and keep up with ESPN and all the other outlets. Yeah.
Andre, thanks for your time. Enjoy the night.
All right, Matt. Good to see you.
You got it. Andre Thornton. All right. We've got Mark Bona from Cleveland.com and an author of his own book, Cleveland Sports History.
Hidden History of Cleveland Sports.
Hidden History of Cleveland Sports. Mike Soul's book was sort of the flashpoint for this whole project, The Pitch That Killed. When you look at this whole story, Indians, Yankees, Ray Chapman, Carl Mays, what is it that you think will draw people in, regardless if they're Indians fans or Yankees fans?
Yeah, I mean, Andy's premise and the producer's premise was this was the genesis for an amazing rivalry that lives on to this day. So I'm not going to give anything else away, but it really did. You can make the case that they're making with the film that it really started with one pitch in 1920, an amazingly tragic pitch.
Do you buy the idea, Andy? One of Andy's big lines in the story is that there's this rivalry, and some people say, well, it's only a rivalry if the other team wins once in a while. Well, the Indians have won a few times, but because of the Yankees' embarrassment of riches, is it a rivalry in your mind?
It really is, and I think a big reason is something that takes place off the field and not on the diamond, and that's both cities are similar in one way. You have large cities that are based on neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods are based on ethnic diversity, ethnic neighborhoods. They were built by people, blue collar. We've heard a lot about steel towns. We've heard a lot about people coming out of the mills in Pennsylvania and landing on the ball fields, and it was not that glamorous. But these cities have a lot of pride in what they do, in who they are, and I think that really fuels this. You can't say that, not to knock any other city in the country, but New York, Cleveland, Boston, and only a small handful of others really fit that bill. So there was a lot of pride building up that kind of kept going and fueled along the way.
To me, I think one of the things that people will see in the film is they're going to see Ray Chapman and they're going to identify with him right away, right? He's the all-American boy. He's educated. He marries a socialite. I mean, he's the guy everybody wants to be. And yet, he was sort of the outlier in that generation of ball player. They were a little rough around the edges for the most part, weren't they?
Oh my gosh, so much so that you could, if you had written this, if this didn't happen, this seems like a novel. You had one guy who was beloved. We've talked about him before. He's amazing. He's marrying. It's a beautiful love story. They're good people. Everyone knew him. She's the daughter of a socialite. And on the other side, you've got this ornery guy who amazingly, half the guys in the league back then like to self-medicate for a lot of reasons. And instead, he was a teetotaler, and he's still an ornery guy. His teammates didn't like him. He wasn't a good teammate. So you had this good versus bad, if you will, and it just took on a life of its own.
It really is the quintessential Hollywood story, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. I mean, like I said, you could have written the story. It's like Bernard Malamud's The Natural, granted based in truth, but it's just this classic. Somebody would turn this in a college or high school literature class, and you would say, "Nah, this could never happen."
All right, give me your opinion on this, because this is one of those questions that has no right or wrong answer. It can be debated forever. If George Steinbrenner buys the Indians and doesn't end up buying the Yankees, are fortunes reversed? Are franchise, the course of history, truly reversed in your mind?
Absolutely. There was so much going on in the early 70s. We could talk for another hour about this, and I know we won't. But there was so much going on with the potential of the Indian sale to Steinbrenner, the potential of even the Browns at the time potentially leaving and going to the suburbs. There was a chance that Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, might not have had a professional sports team. You saw what Steinbrenner did with the wallet and how he opened things up. And yes, he was very strict about hairstyles and things like that. But he immediately started signing, the catfish hunters and the other free agents of the day, and started just throwing every penny he could at them. And I think his mentality wasn't going to change because he was in Cleveland. So I think absolutely there was a lot of what ifs going on there.
I love this guy. He's not dancing around it. He gives you a straight opinion. Thanks a lot. Mark, enjoyed the night.
You too.
Bobby, yeah. And then what's up, Bobby? How you doing? We good? Bob DiBiasio, Indians Senior Vice President. 4 decades of experience in the Tribe's front office. So you've seen the Indians-Yankees rivalry, inside out, upside down. Is it amazing to see this come to the screen? I mean, you know all the stories, you've been around for most of it, but to see it actually come to life.
People that wonder if there truly is a rivalry, especially those that just know us the last 25, maybe 30 years that we've been in the 3-division format. They don't realize the history. July 3rd games when we'd have 70,000, Wayne Garland going up against the Yankees, and Pete Franklin doing the I hate the Hankies. There's so much depth to the Indians and the Yankees. That's Cleveland and New York. That Andy Billman did a phenomenal job, I thought, sneak peek of the film. In portraying all of this, and the couple of things that I just find so remarkable, Matt, if you remember our final opening day at Cleveland Stadium, where it was so somber and melancholy because of Steve Olin, Tim Cruz, the Yankees were our opponent. And they were lined up along the third baseline. Our guys were lined up along the first baseline. Every single player crying their eyes out. While there's that rivalry, there's certain things that bring people together. And so, as I mentioned, the depth of us, because we've been together for so long, it's pretty remarkable. And to put it into a film and tie it into Ray Chapman is pretty cool.
When you began your career, you were in charge of public relations, media relations. Could you even imagine, there were no PR guys in 1920, but could you imagine having to deal with, okay, we just had our most popular player die in a game, and they're not stopping the season. We have to somehow pick up the pieces and move forward. Is it remarkable what that team ultimately accomplished in light of all that?
And people don't realize it. The Chicago White Sox the Yankees, the Indians. I mean, it wasn't like we ran away with the, American League pennant in 1920 and then won the World Series. It came down to like the last day. And for our guys to focus, I often think about that because you think of, you and I, we look at athletes and we admire their athletic ability, but we also know them from the bumps and bruises and the ups and downs and the stress they go through. And like you, I always wondered the strength that Tris Speaker, the manager, the player manager, had to have to keep that group together, to focus on winning. It's pretty remarkable. I don't know if you had a chance yet to interview Scotty Longer. Yeah. Well, his book that deals, it's just a remarkable read.
The best they could be.
Yeah, it's a remarkable read. And just, he's phenomenal, by the way. Scotty does such a wonderful job. That in his book, he helps you try to grab hold of the toughness, the mental aspect, mental toughness that group had to have.
Enjoy the night. It's kind of cool to have Cleveland and the Indians in a film, and this isn't just going to play here. Andy's going to take this thing. This is going to be all over the place.
Well, it's another home run by Andy. He's good at what he does, and I know people will enjoy it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bobby. Thank you.
See you, buddy.
All right. Okay. All right. So Megan plays Kathleen Daly in the film, married to Ray Chapman. This is it's a love story, really. Yes, it's a baseball story, but underneath all that, one of the layers to Andy's documentary is the incredible love story between Ray and Kathleen. How were you able to kind of peel away and discover that?
Well, first of all, it took a lot of research. I had to look up, the 1920s lifestyle is so different from the lifestyle we live today. Katie came from a very wealthy family, as did Ray Chapman. So I could draw from my own life experiences with my boyfriend and our kids and everything to get to that root, like love story, like you said. But then just doing the research and seeing how they lived their lives helped me prepare for the character.
I think one of the cool things about Kathleen Daly is that her father owns the gas company. So they're really well-to-do. And yet, she likes hanging out at the ballpark. And I'm sure none of her socialite friends were going to the ballpark with her. So were you able to figure out, what was it that made her different?
Just what you said made her different. She just had she loved the game as much as Ray Chapman did, which was great for me because I am also a huge baseball and sports fan, so I could really put those two together and use that in the film. But yeah, she loved the sport as much as Ray Chapman. She was a huge supporter of him. She was his biggest fan.
I don't want to give too much away, but it's all history, so it's not like we're really giving it away. Her and Ray's story, it is truly Shakespearean. How tragic, how they go from the heights of heights to the absolute despair. I can't even imagine that actually happened.
I know. I'm sure you know the whole story too, but after he passed away, she lived for another 8 years only and then passed away herself. And they had an 8-year-old daughter who got measles and passed away. You can't write.
I have chills right now just hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, it's devastating. And then Carl Mays, the pitcher, of course, who they say, it was an accident. He didn't know. It might have been raining that day and Ray Chapman didn't move out of the way. So his life was ruined from then on. It's really just a very tragic story, like you said.
And yet, somehow that team picked themselves up and went and won the World Series. You wonder yourself, how in the world were they able to do that?
Yeah.
Where does that come from inside, right?
Yeah, that's something that I feel all athletes have. Who was it Brett Favre? Didn't his father passed away and then the next day he had to play the biggest game? It did so well, or I don't know the exact statistics. But
he went on Monday Night Football and torched the Raiders. I can tell you that.
That's the one. So it's something innate within those athletes that that they do, and that's, I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible story.
So Megan, tell me that as an actor, how challenging is it? I was talking to one of the guys before, I think it was Daniel, about there's no dialogue, so you're not really working, you don't have that emotion invested. It's all almost like pantomime acting. How challenging is that?
It's challenging to an extent, but honestly, for a lot of the scenes, we were able to not just pantomime, but even though there's no dialogue, we were able to talk to each other and just kind of, ad-lib whatever we might be saying in that moment. And they're not going to air that audio, but that helps you get into a realistic conversation. And
see, this is the Hollywood inside stuff that we don't get. We don't know how they do this.
Hollywood, right here in Cleveland, in Chagrin Falls.
Congratulations, great job. Good luck. Enjoy the night.
Thank you so much for your time.
How you doing? They told me to come talk to you. Hold on, let me put my beer down, bro.
You don't have to.
It's a kid-friendly show, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. All right, so is it Leek? Chris
LeBou.
Chris LeBou. Oh, I love that. That's a great name.
Thank you.
Sounds like a country western singer.
Well, hey, tell your friends.
Chris LeBou. All right, you play Ray Chapman. There's a challenge in that in and of itself. And I know it's a long time ago. It's over 100 years ago. But he was Bernie Kosar. He was Omar Vizquel, Jim Thome at the height of their careers. That's how popular this guy was. What were the unique challenges for you in this role?
Oh, wow, the unique challenges. I haven't even thought about that kind of answer since you asked me that. But just kind of giving it justice, really just, being that guy to portray, with the movie and what Ray was all about, and, how he was beloved by Cleveland fans and really, showed off for the city. I think just kind of coming from a hardworking background and really portray that for the fans, the crowd, the sport. So it's kind of really taking that in and, emuting that in the movie.
I know Andy said, he goes, I didn't really want to do reenactments. So we're not going to reenact a lot of baseball scenes. But there was some stuff where you had a glove on and a uniform. That had to be pretty cool. I mean, I know you're not playing an actual game, but you're putting on the legitimate, realistic old-time threads, and we're not talking about a modern-day glove either.
Yeah, pretty cool to say the least. I, was excited to get on the field and put on the old uniform and Cleveland across the chest and get the old glove on. But no, it was a really neat experience. I mean, they got the uniform, I believe, from a antique shop, or what I mean, to kind of really portray it, to show it on film. But yeah, I was excited to be on the field and just go out there and have fun, really.
When you're preparing for this role and you think about the tragic nature of Ray Chapman's story, I mean, it's one that's filled with a lot of sadness, but it's only the sadness at the very end. Up to that point, I mean, this guy literally was one of the most popular athletes. So what was it like for you kind of researching and preparing for, how do I play this guy?
Yeah, great question. I mean, well, reading the book and just kind of hearing more of the stories, and to be honest, being a native Clevelander, I never heard of this story previous to, this story coming out and, being asked to be a part of it. So obviously, a Cleveland sports story, history, aligned with everything that I was excited about. And I've been in this industry doing this for over 20 years, and kind of almost feels like it came full circle because it's all about Cleveland, where I'm from. I actually lived in New York City for over 10 years, so connecting the dots. And then having all my family and friends come out tonight to check out the film. So I'm excited to, have them hear the story, to learn a little bit more about the history and kind of that reason why on that rivalry between the Indians and the Yankees, to really kind of give it more thickness and more, reasons why, that Indian Yankee rivalry still exists today.
That's very cool. And I hate to put you on the spot, but do you have an Indians-Yankees, a memory, a moment, a game that kind of sticks with you through the years?
Well, I remember my first Indians game I went to. I think I skipped school in second grade. I think I went with the neighbors down the street, and we went to Mark's to go get some peanuts and Cracker Jacks and bring them to the game. And I just remember having a great time, a lot of laughs with family and friends, at the game, and just being at the stadium and, checking out a great ball club, and just, you asked for my earliest memory about it. So, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
But it's kind of cool because you grew up here, Cleveland, how You go to the grocery store, you go down the street. What was the score last night? Did you see the game? Sure. What's it like in New York? Because when you get outside of Manhattan, I'm sure it's different. But in Manhattan, there's people from all over the world. Half of them don't even know about the Yankees, probably.
You're absolutely right. I mean, Manhattan is the melting pot of the United States, if you will. Yankees fans are true and passionate as well. Anyone that wears the Yankees hat or Yankees gear, they're as passionate as for baseball as much as any Cleveland Indians fan. But that's what makes it all more special, right? These historic cities coming together, telling the reason why and how they got to where they are today, and kind of giving a little bit of a history lesson to the younger generation, including myself, on why that is. So it's just a really, great, fun story to be a part of, a great movie to be a part of, and honestly, I'm pretty humbled, being asked to be a part of it, to portray someone like Ray Chapman.
Chris LeBoux, Clevelander, Ray Chapman, and he survived the Bronx Zoo.
Yeah,
congratulations. Thanks
nice
a lot.
meeting
Good
you.
luck
Appreciate
tonight.
it.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm in love with her. She's such a
Hey, folks, just want to let you know it's time to head into the theater and get ready to watch tonight's film, The War on the Diamond. So follow the red carpet into the theater, and let's enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the 12th Annual Chagrin Documentary Film Festival, dedicated to educating audiences and empowering talented filmmakers to tell their stories. Because everyone has a story.
In this pre-camp program, my job is to get you guys physically fit.
It didn't feel like jail. It felt like something else.
We could tell our kids all day long, it's not about winning, but it is ultimately.
The global fashion industry remains one of the drivers of modern-day slavery.
This is not a dignified life. This is a slave life.
You needed to be motivated. Walk out to the parking lot and see what 1,000 people with toothaches look like.
Hundreds of people are camping out tonight to get free health care.
We need to do something about it.
Taka dzisiaj jest możliwość, żeby nawet mózg nie wiedział, że jest operowany. To jest kosmos. Mózg zaczyna dostawać tego, czego nie ma. Już mam dychę.
It is the insidious palace lie that we get over the most serious losses in our lives. You cannot be cured from lots of things, but you can heal.
Don't forget to buy your tickets today online at www.chagrinfilmfest.org.
Follow the filmmakers as they examine actual crimes and details surrounding the suspects. Will they figure out who did it?
This is too violent, too sad, too outrageous to be true.
I just couldn't understand how somebody could do that to another human being.
This wasn't the coming out story that I wanted his family to know.
They were out to teach the faggot a lesson.
And I saw Gordon with his backpack on going into the theater. And I had a feeling it was the last time I was going to see him.
Well, it's one of the most vicious homicides in the state of Utah. Tied up in a trunk of a car, knowing that there's two guys out there that are going to do something to him, not sure what.
A couple of real geniuses. I don't know what they're thinking about. They're going to electrocute him or whatever. They get the jumper cables out.
Reached in the trunk and grabbed the tire iron out of the trunk and started beating the guy on the head.
There's really no question that the murder of Gordon Church was a hate crime.
I wouldn't know if the murder would be a hate crime, but I believe that it started out to be because of who he was.
He told you why he killed Mr. Church?
Yeah, because he was there.
I just didn't trust him at the time. I could just tell there was more to it than what he was saying.
And then I remember looking down on his shoe and I saw one speck of blood.
I think he knew that he had really screwed up bad.
They all lied. Wood lied, Archuleta lied, Paula lied.
I wanted to stand up and yell at the jury and say, this isn't the guy that did this.
Lance is a womanizer.
At first I thought it was the senator's either daughter or sister or relative.
Yeah, we absolutely fell in love.
The end of every story, the one that gets to tell the story, is usually the victor. And right now, it seems like the only victor is still the murderers.
Get that camera in your face.
I think both of them lied to the bitter end, and I think if you interviewed them today, they'd lie to you today.
But the truth is that I know that I didn't murder Gordon Church.
I came across a federal court decision, and I'm whipping through this, and it's like anonymous torture, U.S. servicemen. I didn't quite realize at that point how bizarre the story would really be.
My son was a pioneer in this activist group, Anonymous.
He'd been running the secret server, and someone had dropped off a file.
That's the day that everything changed.
He's got some crazy information that they did not want out there.
And I thought, we're dead. We decided to fight this together.
Where can you go to protect yourself from the United States of America?
Every step of the story is from some secret, shadowy world.
Mexico, Russia, Canada. We were surveilled the entire time.
Is this just people being paranoid? Or is the system really out to get them?
He could talk himself into any situation, good or bad. He can also talk himself out of any situation.
He wants to portray himself as this whistleblower to make him the victim. They haven't looked at both sides of the story.
He's detained at the border.
That's a bombshell.
Did they create a conspiracy rather than act in the best interest of their child?
They don't have a single bit of evidence.
Then we found the second victim.
Truth does not matter.
Something's fishy.
This is an overreact.
When I saw what was on the drives, it all made sense.
1192, standby. 370, it's supposed to be a white Dodge Durango or Caliber.
He's going over 100 miles an hour. We have helicopters following him. We have agents following him. He's considered armed and dangerous.
And is it just one person in the vehicle?
There is 2 people.
Travis Twiggs was a model Marine. He was a warrior. His Marines loved him.
You would follow that man to hell. It didn't matter if he said, listen, we're not coming back, we're gonna kick their ass. You're gonna say, let's do it.
When he came back after this 4th trip to Iraq, that is when the light switch went to off and never came back on.
Will was very concerned about his brother. Their relationship was tighter than any other brother relationship that I've ever seen.
Will was on the drifter side of life. He had lost his way and was pretty content just being under the radar. Tebow showed up and everything changed for both of them at that point.
You might say that in the classic breakdown of social trust that is kind of the essence of PTSD, the one person whom Travis still did trust was Will.
Just hit the strips at Stanfield Road. We're still...
I don't think they had a plan at all.
He said, well, where I'm going, I can't tell you.
I question it all the time. I don't understand.
What the fuck? What happened?
All I can say is Will loved his brother that much. That he's willing to die for him.
I don't know.
The federal government thinks if you put the Border Patrol station 60 miles north, Jose is going to be stupid enough to go through there and then you'll catch him. And that's not true. The Border Patrol station is making these people walk in that deep sand with very little water.
Sheriff's Office, let me help you.
I'm trying to have some information regarding a family member who is missing.
There's been a lot of missing people.
We realized there was a big problem along the border. And I don't think anybody realized just how big it was. Thousands of people have died.
An illegal alien crosser is an illegal alien crosser. It's black and white, it's not gray. We're in a war zone here.
This is the South Texas Human Rights Center.
It's like you just walk off the earth. It's as if you never existed.
In 1992, my family lived in a place few foreigners were visiting at the time, Cali, Colombia.
Hey, Dad. Turn that thing off.
That's me, Miles.
There's my brother.
We were enthusiastic about getting to see a new part of the world.
The dealer who owned that house, he was killed, so it's vacant.
But violence was everywhere. The guard said, "There's someone here to speak to you." And I just said, "Is my husband dead?"
We've just received this proof of life. The group was the FARC, the largest guerrilla army in the Western Hemisphere.
They wanted $6 million. Tom's company wouldn't talk to them.
So the children were going to do this.
The living room became the war room to communicate with the FARC.
Miles' best friend was half Colombian.
I got asked if I could get on the radio.
Dina's job was writing letters to the guerrillas.
We realized we needed professional help.
If
If you make an offer, you've got to give room for various moves, like on a chessboard.
Bueno, ¿cuántas haciendas tienes para hoy, hermano?
37 haciendas, pero en pesos.
Una mierda, hijo de puta.
They don't intend to release it. What do you think we should do?
Someone had to make the decision, and I realized it was me.
It didn't make sense in what she was attempting to do. It was against advice. It was absolutely crazy.
This could be dangerous. Okay. Some off-roading parts. Camera movements! Oh, that's gotta be them.
I had one job to do. I wasn't going to let him die.
The Chagrin Documentary Film Festival provides emerging filmmakers with an opportunity to have their work shown in front of a sophisticated and receptive audience, providing industry exposure on an international level.
บ่เห็นฮัตโตคนใด
บุยผู้จะเป็นผู้กำกับแล้วก็บุยผู้ไปเก็บในนิ้วโซลาวก็ยังบ่ทันเจอนะแต่ว่ายังบ่ทันรู้
ไม่อยากเอาหลานให้ทุกข์แน่
เพราะว่าทีมงานเก็บกู้ระเบิดกองพวกเราจะได้ทำลายลูกระเบิดฟาร์ม
I think they've got to take a big chunk of responsibility for the amount that was dropped. In the provinces, I wouldn't put a shovel in the ground without using a metal detector, a mine detector, to make sure there were no ordnance underneath the ground.
My name is Jim Harris. I don't claim any fame by being the only American. I offer it to people as an example of how little we are really doing.
Why there's not more Americans becoming passionate about it in the way that Jim is, I don't know.
Boots on the ground, somebody bending over a bomb, somebody who's pushing the button to destroy it. It's a retired school principal from Wisconsin. That's pretty pathetic. But I go back every year to remove bombs, and I'll continue doing that as long as my health holds out, as long as family life permits me to do that. I'll do it because nobody else has come to take the job away from me.
In the absence of purpose, photography has no meaning. I would never pick up a camera.